Hi there, my name is Emily. I live aboard an antique sailboat with my husband, and today I'm going to show you inside of our tiny little kitchen. Emily and Clark's Adventure. Our boat is 50 years old and 50 feet long, so it's a small space and it's got its challenges with leaks and creaks and things that need to be fixed up every once in a while, but we make it work. Our kitchen is 25 square feet, including a refrigerator, a stove, a couple of sinks, a few drawers, and a few other storage areas. So we've got to pack a lot into a very small space. I'm going to give you a tour today of the space, all the things that I've put in it, and the things that we use to cook 3 meals a day, 7 days a week here aboard Temptress. The kitchen, or the galley, is located right here as you come down the companionway, which I like a lot for a couple of reasons. Number one, if I burn something on the stove, all that smoke and all the odor, I guess, is going to go out of the hatch here. I've also got a great port here that opens up. This is also my garbage disposal, so when I'm chopping up or peeling carrots or something like that, and I've got extra, I just throw it right out the window. Eggshells too. Anything that fish can eat, anything we can eat can go out there. It doesn't cause any harm. Let's see, just to orient you, here is where the fridge is at. This is a top-loading fridge. So you open up one side, you've got fridge here. You open up the other side here, and you've got fridge and freezer. It's actually quite huge compared to a regular fridge, and the nice thing about it being top-loading is that heat rises and cold air sinks, so if you need to open up and do a whole bunch of stuff, you're not letting a whole bunch of cold escape. It's all kind of sitting nice and tidy down at the bottom here. So when we open up this side, you can see there's refrigerator space there, nice and deep. If we lift this hook here, both of them come up, and you see the freezer and more fridge space all over the place. There's this spring here which holds everything up. Here I like to have a little container that I can pull out. It's got things that I've already started, like if I've peeled half a carrot or cut half an onion, I put it here so I don't forget about it, because when it gets lost, that's a pain to find it. So kind of like half-eaten stuff or things that are almost gone that need to get used up go here. Then here is kind of where we put everything that you'd normally put inside a fridge door, all of our condiments, things I use while I'm cooking that I need handy. Garlic and ginger are things that I use a lot aboard the boat. Things like mustard and hot sauce and soy sauce, things that we want to grab quickly with our food, because often I've got stuff on top of this fridge, so it's hard to get into this side, but I can usually get at this side pretty easy. Then down here we've got more condiments, different sauces, coffee here, cans of chicken for chicken salad, and some jam, thanks to Terry and Dennis, our patrons here. They sent us some jam from Montana. Looking forward to opening that up soon. And let's see, we've got a freezer over on this side, which is usually dedicated to a lot of boneless, skinless chicken that we buy, or sometimes we buy it with the bones and we take them off. We also like to buy thin-packed meat like salami, bacon, those sorts of things, as they store really nicely. Kind of get them all lined up along the side. That's a lot of food. These are my favorite way to make ice. These are ice pops from IKEA. We tried so many different kinds of ice cube containers and they spill and you get a big block of ice in the bottom of your freezer. There's all kinds of special ones. Some people make a big block and then use an ice pick, but these are really convenient because you can just pop the top, crack them in half, and it's perfect for like one drink. And they fit just about in any crevice that you have left in your fridge, so it's, or in your freezer, so it's a good way to use up extra space. On this side, we have some more subdivision going on. I've got a bag here where I keep produce. Got some lettuce, tomato, peppers in there right now. It's easy to pull out. And our stairs, which make great sort of shelves. Then down here is the coldest part of the refrigerator, under the freezer. So there's some water in there now and some almond flour, I think. But normally that's eggs, cheese, lunch meat, things that need to be a little extra cold that are susceptible to going bad if they get too warm. So that's the coldest part of the freezer. We got our eggs down there. It's a very important box. This is our chocolate and our coffee box. So that's where all that goes, and it's easy to pick up. These lock and lock containers are actually quite nice for this sort of thing, for just being able to subdivide your stuff. I don't use them for food, like directly so much, because they stain really easily, and I just would rather put my food in glass containers, but for this, they are perfect. So you can check those out. I'll put a link maybe in the description. You got lots of water in case for some reason we run out of water in our tanks or our water pump fails. It's always good to have water. And of course rum, and we've got some liquor and beer, other things in there. This fridge is actually really empty right now. Before we leave a place, if we're gonna go off and we're not sure the next time we're gonna hit a grocery store, I literally will have a hard time putting the lid down on the fridge because it's so full. So, that's the fridge. Let's see, moving. Let's talk about this. This is the dagger board for my sailboat, the little sailboat, but we've got a broom down there. We've got our screen here for when we need to close up for bugs. This hatch slides closed, and then there's a screen that goes here. If the mosquitoes are too bad, I usually keep a dish towel hanging here. Let's see, there's a couple of hard points here, and here on the sink. There's a belt that we can put here so that if we're really rocking and rolling a lot when it is rough weather or rough anchorage, you can hold yourself in when you're cooking. And then the stove gimbals too. So if you've got like some boiling water on the stove, it won't spill on you while you're sailing. So between that and strapping yourself in, that's kind of a good way to cook while you're on the move. Over here we've got some space for cutting boards and larger pans, those sorts of things. The big breadboard here, cutting board, that we've cut out so it fits around the pot holders here, right on top of the stove. I guess I should explain pot holders too for people who haven't lived on a boat before. These hold your pot in place, again, while you're moving so that it doesn't slide across. So, 5-burner stove. It's a Force 10 stove. It's a very nice stove. When we have people over, a lot of times, the first thing it says, "Oh my gosh, your stove is huge," and it is huge for a boat. We know a lot of people who cook on just like one alcohol burner or some other smaller stoves. This stove is awesome, and it makes me love to cook and makes me not miss eating out. It's really a pleasure to work on, and lots of space to move things around. Sometimes I just cook on one side and have other stuff, like a cutting board, over on this side, so it works out well. Inside, we've got storage, obviously, because every little bit counts. So I keep my teapot and my teacups here, wrapped up in, this is actually one of those hanging shoe organizers I modified to hold cups. So they stay in here, and they're gimbaled when we're sailing, so these won't break because I like them. They're old antique sort of things. We've got another pot here. We've got the lid for the pressure cooker here. And we've got a full oven. We can bake bread, we can bake pizza. There's a broiler here, which is how I usually make toast in the morning. Just put the bread right in there. And yeah, so that's great. We don't have a thermometer on our stove, so the nice thing about living in a small space is when you make pizza, when it smells like pizza, the pizza's ready. Below the stove, we have one of my super awesome kitchen hacks. This is a cafeteria tray, and if you're living in a small space or you have a small kitchen, I recommend you get one because let's see, the first thing I use it for is when I'm cutting up like chicken or something. I just put a flexible board right on top of it. It keeps all the juices collected here, so it makes it really easy to clean up. Also, like peeling carrots, they always stick to the countertop, so this gives me like a portable countertop that I just take over to the sink and wash. It also makes a great serving tray. You can take things down, take things up, and serve stuff, so that's a great little hack. Get yourself one of those. Then below, we've got this whole deep storage that goes way back. I've got a little key here for myself. So we got bread pans, they're here. We got frying pans, they're here. Got all my bowls. Those are here. It looks just like the picture. I got really tired of crawling around on my hands and knees, digging and looking way back in there for stuff. So that's why I created this. and everything's all strapped in and organized. So I would forget what was in there, except that I made that. So that's there. What else can I show you? In here, we've got a lot of storage. I don't remember if I showed you this already. So we got lots of dry goods here that we vacuum. No, I'm sorry. That we pack with carbon dioxide, using our carbon dioxide tank, and that keeps them fresh for years and years. So we got things like rice and lentils, that sort of stuff. I have a waffle iron, which is completely ridiculous on a boat. But since we put up the new solar panels, we've got tons of power, and it's a nice treat. So we've got waffle iron. Then we've got a handy dandy blender. Let me show you this. So this is a Wolf King Puck blender. We had one that was like 15 years old, and it just, one little piece of it broke, so I just bought another one, and all the new parts are in a box at home, but these are the parts from the old one, except for a couple things. So this has like a blending, mixing, dough hooks, those sorts of things. It's got a measuring container. This is where I put wine glasses when we are sailing. There's also a food processor attachment that goes with it. So all that makes for a lot of cooking power. So that's more 2-liter bottles full of stuff. Again, this is really empty right now compared to what we normally have. So same thing, there's that spring there that just, boop, closes that. This is where we turn on the propane to go to the stove and the hot water. We've got power if we turn on the inverter. Got some paper towels. We got some spices. Oh, here's a hack. Spices. You can get plastic spice containers with plastic lids, and your spices will go bad very quickly. You can also get glass containers with metal lids, and they will keep a long time, but your lids will rust. So I always buy my spices in glass containers, and then I save these red McCormick lids, which seem to be pretty universal, and you can mix and match them. So all of my spice containers, these look very custom and fancy, but they're really just recycled McCormick lids and glass containers. So if you're ever going through your spice cabinet, save these and put them together, and you have the perfect spice jar for a boat. Speaking of spices, let's take a look at my spice collection. So I've got these pretty cool sort of apothecary jars that I put all my spices in. I've got sort of a rubber seal in them. They're easy to clean out, but I alphabetize them. So you can see all of them. And there's actually 2 layers. So if you're looking for, I don't know, like poppy seeds, they'd be after O comes poppy seeds. Bam, right there. So the secret to living on a boat is having a lot of base ingredients like rice and beans and lentils, and then having all the spices to make those into awesome foods. So that's why I have such a huge collection. The other things I have here, I've got different oils, different wines, vinegars, things like vanilla, all those sorts of things. And these, again, I ordered these glass square jars. I can put in a dish towel here when we're sailing, and all these just lock together. A lot of people are afraid to have glass anything on their boat, and they buy all this plastic stuff. I love glass, and I've never broken one of these. I've never broken one of these. They've held up pretty well for me. We've got our coffee maker here, which is, I think, almost 20 years old and still works awesome. I'll put a link to that in the description. It makes espresso, it steams milk, pretty cool little thing, and we just use it right here on the stove. And we make a lot of Indian food and spicy food, so big containers of curry and chili powder, got some dried peppers, some more spice, and then just basic sugar, brown sugar, honey, that sort of stuff. And I got a mortar and pestle over there because stuff like, let's see, fenugreek should be back there. Fenugreek needs to be ground up, and the spices last longer if you get them when they're whole. Let's see over here. Let's see this. Got a lot of dehydrated foods. So apples that I dehydrated before we left the States, broccoli. When we can't get fresh food, those are good. We've got some seeds for sprouting. Those are dried carrots that actually aren't looking too well right now. So, big slider, big slider. All of our dishes are over here. We have, again, people are scared to have glass on their boat, but we have all Corelle because they're really thin and they stack up nice. I have 5 place settings, I think. So we got cereal bowls here. We've got square dinner plates up here, which lock in just really well. Serving tray I use for everything. These are serving bowls, but I actually bought them as dinner bowls. It's like when we have a big curry, we just put rice in there, put curry all over the top, and they work great. So I got 5 of those. And then we got these, which are really nice for like little breakfast and stuff like that, and they fit perfectly in this mug tray here. Let's see, put that back. Over here we do have a little bit of plastic, just these little appetizer trays, which are great for the cockpit, for sailing. 1 serving bowl, they all match that tray up there, so it's like my serving set. I've got real glass wine glasses, or they're beverage glasses that we use as wine glasses, and to keep them from breaking, I have this rubber shelf liner that I use. You'll see it like here and inside the drawers and everything. And I just cut out a circle, cut these petals, and then I can put them here. Ta-da! And they are just a little bit more protected against breakage. I'll put those in there. I really like these Pampered Chef containers. They are measuring cups as well. You can see the measuring labels here. And they have little lids. Oops, let me see if I can grab one for my lids. They go on. And these can tumble around the fridge pretty well, and they don't break and they don't come loose. So you can make, I don't know, like Jello and stuff like that in these. They make great little dessert containers as well. So I just use them for a lot of things. I think I have maybe 8 or 10 of them. Plus some that are in the fridge right now, holding, I don't know, teriyaki sauce and other things I've made. And there's that. And then I've got a lot of pots in a small space. So this is basically 1 pot footprint. Got 2 universal lids, little pot, my egg frying pan. We have eggs almost every day. Medium pot. Bottom of the pressure cooker. So the pressure cooker I have has that lid on the bottom. There's the big pressure cooker. I use that for canning, and then this one I use for like making a big pot of chili or curry or something like that. A couple of Pyrex measuring cups. One of them has a lid. And yeah, oh, and I've got these 2 that I store in there. These are kind of like our potluck plates. As a cruiser, there's often like little picnics at the beach that you get invited to, and you always have to bring your own plates and things. Nobody uses paper. Okay, so all that stacks up ever so nicely right in there. That's a whole lot of cooking power in that little space, in addition to some of the big frying pans that I've got down there. And I think that's everything up there. Talked about spices, talked about paper towels maybe. Here I've got all my plastic lids in these cotton produce bags. Got all my metal lids and my canning lids here. Got Salvador, our little kitchen mascot, bottle brush, a hot mitt. This is my flour sifter, which I almost never use, so it's really just my garlic holder that occasionally is a flour sifter. And I guess that brings us to the sink area. I've got double sinks here. I can fill both of them with this pump. This pump is a foot pump. So go down here, press that, and the water comes out there. A lot more efficient. Over here I've got a little RV drain, which I like. You can also, this snaps on top of there, and you can store fragile stuff in it, put it in the stove or wherever when you're sailing. I stopped putting all my silverware in drawers a long time ago. I just wash them and store them right here. And this is just B and S. Big spoon, little spoon, big fork, little fork, butter knife, steak knife, straws, serving utensils. I just separate them that way so they're easy to find which is which. And let's see, we got a soap dispenser here. This is a really nice cup holder. That just works perfect. This is a mason jar. Everything on my boat is mason jars because they're awesome and you can store food in them. Speaking of mason jars, here's some more glass. I make my own things. This is just bleach and water, vinegar and water, glass cleaner, and all-purpose cleaner. Those are both bought items that I had left over. And I'm literally putting glass in glass, which people would freak out about, but I put a paper towel in there when we're sailing. And then underneath that, there's even one more container. I had to eat a lot of gelato to get these, but these actually make the perfect little, let's see, so there's the lid. I put it in here, put that there, and I put the mason jar in it, and I put the cleaner on top of that. So I have all my cleaners here, plus leftover jars, plus more leftover jars, all in that tiny little space. So, and like everybody else in the world, I think, we just have lots of cleaning supplies and WD-40 and Team McLube and all kinds of stuff underneath our sink. And is that, I guess we've got drawers. There's 3 drawers on this boat, and the way I categorize them is by use. So the first one is basically prep, like sous chef stuff. So if we're gonna cut vegetables, peel vegetables, grate vegetables, marinate vegetables, all that stuff is in here. We've also got like a tea ball and wine opener. There's a spiralizer for vegetables. So this is like all the prep work that I do before I start firing up the stove. Easy to find. And we've got pretty standard utensils, soup ladle, strainer, pancake flipper, tongs. This is the whisk from the blender I showed you. I got rid of my other whisk because this one's actually kind of nice to hold like so, and it takes up less space. So if you've got attachments, why double them up as utensils? And then the bottom is pretty much just spare stuff, like our oven thermometer if we ever need it, knife sharpener. I've got a much better knife sharpener than this though. And extra utensils, because I only keep, I think, 4 or 5 sets out, but we have 8. That's right. So, let's see, I think that might be it for the kitchen. We got sink, got storage, we got stove, we got fridge, we got stairs / shelving. Our space is really small and it kind of overlaps into other parts of the boat, so you'll see food stored all over the place, behind the couch, behind my bed, under my bed, all kinds of places where we store actual food stuff. And then like here, there's a garbage can. That's sort of our universal garbage can where we put everything on the boat. So that's sort of part of the kitchen. But mainly the kitchen is this footprint right here, which is less than 2 feet this way and 5.5 feet this way. So this is like little command central for food. So that's pretty much my tiny kitchen. I tried to not focus a whole lot on food today because we've done whole videos on like the cost of food in different places of the world. We did one on prepping food, how to can meat, which is something that we do a lot. So you can check out those videos for that information, or we'll make some more videos. Like how I do meal prepping, which is with this dry erase board that I created that maybe I'll put on Patreon if you want to download it. But this is pretty much the stuff that I have in my kitchen that I use in order to cook, and that's the amount of space that we're working with in the kitchen. So, hope you enjoyed this. If you have small kitchen hacks, leave them in the comments below. I will try to leave descriptions for the various products and things that I like. I don't like to sell stuff, but there are some things that took me a long time to figure out. So I will put the links to those types of things in the description. And let's keep the conversation going. And we'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye from Temptress.
When we met, we knew that we did things differently, but with no regrets, both living life authentically. life's adventure.
Today in the kitchen we will make zucchini noodles and sauce. Yummy.
Hey Emily, what are you doing?
Washing the dishes.
And the floor. It all goes in the bilge as long as it's clean.